General Thaxamore stood atop his command cruiser, his four crystalline eyes gleaming with disdain as he observed the human defensive positions through his tactical display. The Zilanian War Master had conquered 17 star systems, each victory adding another ornate scar to his chitinous exoskeleton. Today would be no different. Look at them. He clicked to his subordinates, mandibles chattering with amusement. The humans scatter like frightened insects. No formation, no discipline. They abandon their fortifications and run into the wilderness, like prey animals. Commander Vextil, his second-in-command, shifted nervously. General, our intelligence suggests human military doctrine is unconventional. Perhaps we should— Silence, Thaxamore's voice resonated through the bridge. I have studied their pathetic attempts at warfare. They lack honor, structure, proper military bearing. Watch how they flee from our advance like cowards. The human settlement of New Geneva stretched. Across the valley below, its modest buildings and agricultural domes seemingly defenseless. The colonists had indeed abandoned their positions, streaming into the surrounding forests and mountains in apparent panic. Thaxamore's invasion force of 50,000 elite Zilanian warriors began their descent, their energy weapons gleaming in the alien sun. Deploy the shock troops, Thaxamore commanded. Standard formation. We will crush this rabble and claim another easy victory for the Dominion. The Zilanian forces moved with mechanical precision, their ranks perfectly aligned as they advanced across the open ground. Their armor glinted silver against the green landscape, a testament to their military superiority. Each soldier carried weapons that could level buildings powered by technology that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. Thaxamore watched with satisfaction as his forces approached the abandoned human settlement. Observe, Commander. This is how civilized beings conduct warfare, with order, with discipline, with overwhelming. The first explosion came from nowhere. A Zilanian battalion simply vanished in a ball of fire that erupted from beneath the ground. Then another, and another. The orderly formations dissolved into chaos as hidden mines detonated with perfect timing, each blast calculated to maximize casualties and confusion. Impossible, Thaxamore snarled. How did they— His answer came in the form of projectiles, whistling through the air. Not energy weapons or plasma bolts, but crude metal slugs fired from primitive chemical propellants. The humans had positioned themselves in the surrounding terrain, invisible to Zilanian sensors, using weapons so archaic they didn't register as threats. But these primitive bullets found their marks with devastating accuracy. Zilanian armor, designed to deflect energy weapons, proved useless against simple kinetic force. Warriors who had survived battles across the galaxy fell to what their technology considered obsolete weaponry. They're using guerrilla tactics, Vextil reported, panic creeping into his voice. Small units, hit-and-run attacks, asymmetric warfare. Thaxamore's tactical display lit up with red markers as his forces came under attack from every direction. The humans hadn't fled. They had melted into the landscape, becoming part of it. They struck from hidden positions, inflicted casualties, then vanished before his troops could respond. Cowards, he roared. Stand and fight with honor. But the humans had no intention of fighting on Zilanian terms. They used the terrain, turning every hill and forest into a weapon. They employed deception, making his forces strike at shadows while the real threats moved unseen. They improvised constantly, adapting faster than his rigid military doctrine could counter. A human voice crackled through the communication channels, somehow having breached their encrypted networks. General Thaxamore, this is Colonel Sarah Chen, 3rd Colonial Marines. You wanted to see human military doctrine? You're looking at it. Your tactics are without honor. Thaxamore spat into his communicator. Honor doesn't win wars, came the calm reply. Effectiveness does. You brought 50,000 soldiers to fight like it's the 18th century. We brought 5,000 who learned from Vietnam, Afghanistan, and a dozen other conflicts you never studied. The casualties mounted rapidly. Zilanian formations, perfect for conventional warfare, became death traps in the face of human insurgency. Supply lines were cut. Communications were jammed. Command structures collapsed as officers were picked off by human snipers using weapons that fired actual metal bullets from impossible distances. Thaxmore watched his tactical display with growing horror as red markers spread across the battlefield. His disciplined army, trained for honor-bound combat between organized forces, was being systematically dismantled by an enemy that refused to play by the rules. "They fight without codes of conduct," Commander Vextil observed, watching as humans used captured Zelanian equipment against its former owners. "They fight to survive," Colonel Chen's voice corrected. "Something your species forgot when you became so civilized. We humans remember what it means to be cornered. We remember what it means to fight for our homes." The final blow came when Thaxmore realized the humans had somehow infiltrated his own command ship. Explosive charges, placed by infiltrators he never saw coming, crippled his vessel's engines and weapon systems. His perfect army found itself leaderless, cut off, surrounded by an enemy that struck from everywhere and nowhere at once. 10 minutes after beginning what should have been a routine subjugation, General Thaxmore stood amid the burning wreckage of his invasion force. The few surviving Zelanian soldiers had surrendered or fled. His mighty army, the pride of the Dominion, had been reduced to ashes by creatures he had dismissed as primitive. "How?" he whispered into his communicator, his voice broken. "You studied our battles," Colonel Chen replied, her voice carrying across the smoldering battlefield. "But you only looked at our victories. You should have studied our defeats, General. That's where we learned to fight like this. Every loss taught us something new about survival. Every defeat made us more dangerous." As Thaxmore was led away in restraints, he finally understood the fundamental error in his assessment. The humans hadn't abandoned military discipline. They had evolved beyond it. They had taken the rigid structures of conventional warfare and transformed them into something fluid, adaptive, and utterly ruthless when cornered. The galaxy would learn, as Thaxmore had learned too late, that humanity's greatest military asset wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their ability to fight dirty when everything they loved was at stake, and their willingness to embrace any tactic that brought them victory. In the end, the most terrifying thing about humans wasn't their capacity for honor in battle. It was their complete willingness to abandon it when survival demanded something else entirely.